Good afternoon. Well, it turned on though. Isn't that on?
Test, test. Hello.
Maybe it'd be louder. Okay. Good afternoon. I don't think it's on enough. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. You go up. All right, if everybody can hear me, why don't you go ahead and come on in and take a seat, and we'll get started here in just a minute. That was easy. All right, well, listen, I appreciate all of you being here today, and especially coming out with this questionable weather, but we're hoping that it's all going to go well, and if not, we're all in a good, safe space, right? So good afternoon and welcome to the conference. My name is Derek Weaver, and I'm the Director of Pre-Construction. Now, for those of you listening, you heard me not say the Director of Technical Services. So I am excited to say that Secretary Johnson and Chief Norman allowed us to make that change. And so moving forward, we're going to go back to pre-construction. It's really a name that better kind of describes what all we do every day. And so that was a decision that we decided to make. So I was excited about that and happy to be able to announce that. Let's see, first thing I want to talk about is a little bit of safety. So as you know, there are some potential, storms today, potentially tornadoes, and so wanted to go ahead and address that. You can see here on the map that the room that we're sitting in is technically a tornado shelter. However, in the event of an actual tornado warning or whatever, we are going to ask everybody to go ahead and step across the hall into the smaller rooms just to be safe. Right now, the weather looks like we're going to be pretty good, at least until a little bit later this afternoon, and then we'll kind of play it by ear. But we'll let you know if something comes up. And again, we'll just be stepping across the hall, and there's rooms 7, 8, 9, and 10, which are a little bit smaller. So just, we got you covered, so you don't need to worry about it. The other thing I want to mention is, as you came in, hopefully you saw a barcode, a QR code for the agenda. So those are posted here, there, and everywhere, so be sure and check those out. Additionally, if you've never been here before, there are restrooms in the lobby and in both the hallways, so just know that too. All right. Let's see. So this afternoon we've got 3 one-hour sessions, and then we'll be finishing up and following that by a reception from 5 to 7. That's back in room 2. That room is also where we're going to be doing breaks, and so after each of the one-hour sessions, there is going to be a time to do some networking and go back into the break room. There's going to be some snacks, as well as some of the DOT units have booths set up there, and there's staff there. So if you want to have some conversations with those folks as well, that's also set up. I'd love for y'all to check out the booths and just talk to some of the staff and just let them share with some of the stuff that they're actually working on. Let's see. The one thing I want you to kind of be paying attention to is you have time today. When you do open the agenda, go ahead and look at tomorrow's sessions. Tomorrow there are 4 kind of breakout times through the day, and there's going to be 5 sessions in each of those well, not yet, sorry. There's going to be 5 sessions in each of those time slots. And the sessions are really going to cover everything from like long-range planning all the way through right-of-way and utilities. Of course, we have all the pre-construction disciplines covered. Additionally, we're talking about modes, digital delivery, and then just in general project delivery tools. So it should be something for everybody. Some of the sessions we are going to do twice, and so that'll help you to catch those. But if you miss any, they are recorded, and we'll be making those available after the conference. So you definitely won't miss anything. Next, I'd just like to take a minute to extend a sincere thank you to our ACEC and our reception sponsors. Without these folks, we wouldn't have a reception tonight. So if you talk to anybody that's one of these firms, please do reach out and thank them for that. So as we kind of kick off the session today, this whole conference really is talking about the future of project delivery, kind of what's next. And so this year we're going to be talking about some of the things that we're looking at doing, kind of the vision, some of the ideas that we're moving forward with. All the speakers are going to share some of the different topics that are important to them and important to the department and how we're moving forward. All right. So first up is our first speaker is Daniel Johnson. Daniel was appointed Secretary of Transportation of NCDOT by Governor Josh Stein back in October of 2025. His role as Secretary really builds on 8 years of experience of serving in senior executive roles at NCDOT. Johnson's service with NCDOT's career was largely, I'm misreading this. His service with DOT continues a career and has largely been devoted to public service. Following his graduation from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, it's all good. He accepted a commission in the U.S. Navy and served as a surface warfare officer for the USS Blue Ridge. Upon completion of his military service, Johnson worked for U.S. Senator Max Cleveland of Georgia, where he focused on issues related to military affairs and veterans. After returning to Chapel Hill again, he did attend law school, and he served as the assistant district attorney of Wake County before going into private practice. So I'm sure Daniel's going to say something bad about NC State when he comes up here, but Daniel, come on up and welcome him.
No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm an out-of-towner here at the McKimmon Center, but it's great. I'm one of the few Tar Heels at NCDOT, but I wear it proudly. So glad to be here. Thanks, Derek. It's good to be here with all you today. Great to see so many people turning out for this workshop, especially on a day like this where there's some uncertainty going on outside, but hopefully it passes by without. Hopefully it's over without any major issues for the area. As Derek mentioned, I've been with DOT now for 8 years, been in this role since October 1st. Probably one of the most important decisions I've made as secretary was changing technical services to pre-construction, because I'd been at DOT for 8 years, but I always kind of like, wait, what exactly is technical services? But my simple brain can understand what pre-construction is. So, but I'm still going to call Derek when my printer isn't working, just so he can help sort that out. But I spent a lot of time in the first 6. One of my priorities when I first came in as secretary was to try to spend as much time outside of Raleigh as I was spending inside of Raleigh. So I've been out over the past 6 months. I was trying to do it before the new year, but it proved to be too hard to do. But to get to all 14 of our divisions and also to meet with many of our other business units to get their perspectives on what's going on, because I feel like whatever we're doing here in Raleigh, if it's not translating, if it's not working in the divisions, it's just not working, because that's where all the work's getting done. So I've spent a lot of time out there talking to our division staff, talking to people in the field, trying to get as much perspective as I can from what's going on in their worlds. It's been a great experience for me to get out there and to talk to folks. I've always been impressed with the people we have at DOT, with their commitment to their communities, with their hard work, particularly when the going gets tough, is when they're at their best. And we've got a lot of people across this state. They are of their communities, and they're serving their communities and doing their best to deliver a great transportation system to the people of North Carolina. So I've had a great time getting out to see them. At the same time, I know none of that's possible. A great DOT depends on a great coordination and relationship with our contractors and our consultants. And if without a strong bond between those two entities, we're not getting anything done for people in North Carolina. So I appreciate all the DOT people here today, and also the contractors and consultants who are with us. I want to thank all of you for your hard work on the behalf of the people of North Carolina and your efforts to deliver projects for the state. This workshop is important for a variety of reasons, but one of them is that it strengthens those partnerships and gives us space to align expectations, share what we've learned, address challenges, and improve how we deliver projects across North Carolina. We're delivering one of the largest and most complex transportation programs in our state's history. We must continue to evolve by adopting new technologies, modernizing how we deliver projects, and strengthening our workforces. The topics you'll hear over the next day and a half are directly tied to those goals. I encourage everyone to fully engage, ask questions, and use this opportunity to share ideas and best practices. And also take advantage of the time in between these sessions to, you see people you're seeing every day on the work site. Sometimes you have different conversations. I've found a lot of value when I go to conferences is the conversations that are happening in between sessions with people, even on my own hallway. Sometimes you're having a different conversation when you're at a conference and away from the day-to-day. So I encourage you to engage as much as you can. My priorities, as this is my first time addressing this group, I'd like to kind of discuss my priorities for the organization in my role as secretary. At NCDOT, we're focused on delivering in several areas. One is Helene recovery. That work is a top priority for me, as it is for Governor Stein. What the department and our contracting partners have accomplished over the last year and a half is astounding, really. But there's still many challenges that remain. The governor and I speak regularly on where we stand and what's next so we can help the citizens rebuild so our transportation infrastructure is stronger and more resilient for the future. Safety remains one of our highest priorities for our workforce, our contractors, and the traveling public. Everything we do must support that goal. Workforce development is also vital to our success in the 21st century. One thing I've realized, and anybody, I know there's a lot of DOT folks here and people that are former DOT, and in traveling around, one thing that's consistent is we have a lot of talent that's close to or over the 30-year threshold. And so making sure that we're building on the legacy that they've provided and passing it on to the next generation is a top priority. A big part on how we continue to deliver for the state is focusing on innovation and maintaining our position as a state as one of the leaders in transportation. I also want us to maximize the delivery of the statewide transportation program at a time when the population and the cost of business are at all-time highs. This will be a challenge, but working with our partners, we can get this job done. I want to talk a little bit more about Hurricane Helene. That remains, as I said, our most pressing challenge at this time. It's the most destructive natural disaster in our state's history, and it's not even close compared to precedent. While we've seen a great deal of success in the first 18 months, the hard work is in its early stages, and a full recovery is still years away. Helene left its mark in western North Carolina, but it also revealed the best of our department and the incredible way North Carolinians come together to help their own in times of crisis. Many division employees across the state took time away from their families to help reopen roads in difficult terrain. And an untold number of citizens donated their time, money, emergency supplies, and other resources to this battered region. We have made tremendous progress to restore access to western North Carolina. 98% of the roads have been reopened. Work has been completed on 8,200 damaged sites, and we've repaired or replaced over 610 bridges. We know we have a long way to go, but rest assured our goal is to fully restore western North Carolina without causing delays or cutbacks to our capital spending plans. Among the many things I've learned in my travels across 14 divisions is the fact that each division has unique needs for infrastructure investment. North Carolina remains one of the fastest growing states in the nation and is anticipated to continue this trend for decades to come. Every year we invest approximately $1 billion in pre-construction activities. That covers preliminary engineering, utilities, and right-of-way. At present, our portfolio includes over 1,600 active projects. These are distributed across 540 highway projects, 530 bridge projects, 300 modal projects, and 240 safety projects. All of these projects showcase the breadth of our ongoing work. So too does the work we've committed in fiscal 2025. Our expenditures include $418 million for preliminary engineering, $599 million for right-of-way acquisition and relocation, and $82 million for utility relocation and coordination. These figures reflect our continued commitment to advancing our infrastructure and project delivery. We're currently operating on our 2026-2035 STIP, which the Board of Transportation adopted last year. Some highlights from the STIP that you may already know. It covers 2,000 total projects that are valued at over $31 billion over the 10-year period. We were able to select 100 new projects through the last prioritization process for the STIP. As I mentioned, safety continues to be a top priority and an area where our focus is on everyone. The traveling public, our contract partners who work in the dynamic environments of work zones, and our own employees. We have a lot of tools to educate others about safety, but we are redoubling those efforts and looking for new and impactful solutions that drive down highway deaths across the board, reduce work zone crashes, and improve employee safety and training. Workforce development has been and continues to be a priority at NCDOT. As I mentioned, we've known for quite some time the challenges facing us. Much of our workforce is retiring, so we're losing critical institutional knowledge and experience, and we're faced with a shortage of skilled people entering the workforce. So we're beefing up our efforts to recruit and retain a skilled workforce by investing in the talent supply chain and developing our apprenticeship programs, building upon our summer programs for high school students and internships for young adults interested in transportation, improving our recruitment efforts, especially among HBCUs and other colleges and universities. We've even hosted a career fair for high school and college students interested in transportation. We're placing increased emphasis on training, educational, and advancement opportunities for our NCDOT employees. And we're working hard to maintain a great workplace at NCDOT by putting great emphasis on the areas our employees value: trust between management and staff, and helping foster a meaningful work experience that employees can take ownership of. We hope these efforts will enable us to build a solid foundation of transportation professionals. As you know, transportation is faced with significant challenges, and project delivery and innovation will continue to be at the forefront of our industry. We're the third fastest growing state in the nation, and that brings more pressures to expand and upgrade our transportation network. This rapid growth, however, is outpacing our ability to provide the necessary infrastructure. We need to continue to support our urban areas surging with population, congestion, and commerce. At the same time, we must be mindful that large pockets of rural areas across the state, where approximately 3.5 million North Carolinians live, depend on infrastructure to get to work, to get to education opportunities, and to get to healthcare opportunities, needed healthcare. These roads are lifelines for smaller communities. NCDOT has long been a leader in transportation innovation, and we need to maintain our position as a pace setter. We must continue to use AI and other technologies to improve traffic flows and safety, integrate autonomous and connected vehicles into the transportation system, and improve our use of drones to deliver food, water, and other essentials. Last week, I announced to our staff the establishment of a new office within NCDOT to focus on innovation. We're calling this unit the Office of Strategic Advancement. This office will strengthen how NCDOT plans, prioritize, and execute strategic department-wide work. We will not be grounded in silos, but in teamwork and collaboration. The Office of Strategic Advancement is designed to be fast-acting and nimble. It will focus on 3 areas: innovation and technology adoption. The Office of Strategic Advancement will help us better evaluate emerging technologies, processes, and partnerships. It will pilot promising ideas and scale what works across the department. The team will also prioritize working with Department of Information Technology, Transportation leadership to review opportunities through a consistent framework and ensure our investments meet current and future needs. The Office of Strategic Advancement will also focus on performance and accountability. The office will lead the implementation of the department's strategic plan by setting priorities, tracking progress, and reporting out outcomes across divisions. The office will also monitor and communicate relevant federal and state policy developments, helping NCDOT stay informed and positioned to pursue new opportunities. And lastly, this office will focus on cross-functional initiatives. As you know, many of our impactful opportunities span multiple divisions and programs. The Office of Strategic Advancement will coordinate these efforts, strengthen initiatives already in motion, and identify new ways to leverage expertise and communication across DOT. I'd like to conclude by thanking you for the opportunity to speak today. The workshop is always a great opportunity for a strong partnership between NCDOT and its partners. I hope you find the next day and a half productive and informative. Again, thanks for the opportunity.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Really appreciate your remarks today. And I'm excited about the new office that Daniel has established. I think it's going to really be helpful as we think about technology and digital transformation, some of those things moving forward. Our next speaker is Patrick Norman, and Patrick serves as the chief engineer for DOT, and I guess I should move to you. And this is a position that he's held since June of 2025. And as chief engineer, he manages and directs the engineering programs and activities of NCDOT's 14 highway divisions, Transportation, Mobility, and Safety Division, Pre-Construction Division, Division of Planning and Programming, Facilities Maintenance Division, Highway Operations, and Field Support units. Now, during his 25 years at NCDOT, Patrick has held multiple roles within DOT, including the chief engineer of the department, of the department's Turnpike Authority, Highway Division 8 engineer, the director of highway operations, and as well as other offices in the central office and in the field. Patrick earned his bachelor degree in civil engineering from NC State, and he is a professional engineer. So please join me in welcoming Patrick.
All right, good afternoon. How's everybody doing? That's sad. Happy to be here, huh? No, thanks to everybody for coming. As mentioned, there's been some pretty crazy weather. It seems like it's the trend lately. A lot of crazy weather going on, but nonetheless, we'll get there. As Derek mentioned, I'm Patrick Norman, chief engineer. But first, just want to say I'm extremely humbled to be in this position, after 25 years with NCDOT. Just looking out through the room and just seeing a lot of people that, have mentored me or have been peers to me throughout my career. And me being the one that's standing up here talking to this group is it's pretty humbling. So I'm appreciative to be here. But I also know the chief engineer is more than just one person. It's an entire group of people, whether you're the central office in Raleigh, the highway divisions, central units, and all the support groups, right? That is the entirety of NCD and DOT and the chief engineer. So I appreciate all the support that I get. Also appreciate Secretary Johnson. I think soon after he was appointed, we had a quick conversation about, trying to align our priorities. And within about 30 seconds, we were pretty well aligned because his same priorities are pretty much the same ones that I have. And I'm going to touch on some of those a little bit today, not to get into too much repetitive nature here, but we do share a lot of the same things. And I think the first one would be obviously Hurricane Helene. Just to get into some stats, and the Secretary mentioned all the work we've done and the progress we're making. To date, we've spent just over $1.4 billion on Hurricane Helene for a combined total of money that we're expecting to spend is just over $5.8 billion. So you can see that we are just a little ways into the storm. Even with all the progress that we've made, we do have a long way to go, as he mentioned. Fortunately, we've gotten just over $535 million in reimbursements back. Appreciate all our partners, our federal highways partners are here today. We appreciate their expedience and helping us recover, as well as our FEMA partners. But to mention, we do have a long way to go, and obviously you folks in the room are having a big impact on that and helping keeping to move that forward. And as the Secretary mentioned, our goal at the end of the day is to try to absorb this and not impact our other programs. I think that's going to be the goal across all of our departmental programs. It's the trust fund, it's our capital programs, but also our maintenance programs. Our maintenance programs are typically where we have to match storm relief, so those are things that we have to consider too. So that's going to be something important for us. Second thing he's mentioned was safety. Obviously, safety is always going to be one of our top priorities. The Secretary mentioned the highway safety and the roadway safety and the work zone safety component of it, but one goal of mine is to further our development and our employee safety. Unfortunately, we've had multiple fatalities at DOT over the last several years, and obviously any fatality is one too many, but that's something that we're going to continue to focus on. I feel like the systems we have in place are antiquated. We're still filling out paper forms, and it's becoming more of a burden, I think, in some of our employees' eyes, is to try to keep them from getting the work done because I have to do this paperwork. So what we want to do is try to modernize our systems and bring us into the 21st century. Innovation, as the Secretary mentioned, is a priority. That's something we're trying to implement through our safety programs as well, and trying to figure out, AI systems and other things that we can do to bring into the mix to try to help make it more efficient, but try to reinvigorate our employees to be more diligent on safety. Secretary also mentioned workforce. Workforce is going to continue to be something we focus on. He mentioned all the outreach efforts. I know a lot of the folks in this room, whether you're with ACEC, I see Victor's here with AGC, all our different industry partners are doing a lot to try to make sure that we're trying to push forward in developing our workforce. I think we recognize there's a lot of talent, as the Secretary mentioned, that can leave, and I think we got a lot of strong folks that are coming up through the ranks, but I think anybody can look around and say that our bench is probably more thin than we want it to be. So we've got to focus on, how can we partner together in this industry to try to move that needle and bring more people into the fold. It's not just architects and engineers. I think Victor will tell you, if we don't have the tradesmen and the folks to build the roads, then what we do on the front end doesn't really matter. So it's something we got to focus on continually. Secretary mentioned innovation in the group that he is standing up, so I won't get into that too much, but I think it's going to be something that's going to be paramount in what we do. What I really want to focus on is project delivery. I think we keep talking about project delivery and improving project delivery and, just kind of getting back to what our core mission is. Why do we do what we do, and why does NCDOT exist? I think that's to deliver projects and deliver programs for the citizens of North Carolina. That's across all 14 divisions, all modes. It's something that we have to continue to make priority. Being in recent conversations with the legislature and the Board of Transportation, project delivery continues to be something that's of utmost importance to them. And for the biggest reason is the trust and reliability of the public and being able to do what we say we're going to do. We'll be the first to admit we're trying to be more transparent with how we're performing. If you look just at the 12-month let list of the projects that are let centrally, that doesn't include all the projects across the state. We're only delivering at about a 60% success rate on the 12-month let list. So we are not successful at delivering what's right in front of us. And that's something that my office is going to continue to look at and try to push forward with the divisions and the different units, is we've got to get better with that. So how are we going to do that? I think we're going to try to rekindle our focus on being customer service oriented and business oriented and trying to get back to the basics. So we are going to change some of our metrics. We're going to start measuring success based on how we deliver in that 12-month let list, how we are doing at delivering projects that are right in front of us. We're going to take it a step further. We're going to start evaluating, what are we doing as far as our first 2 years of our STIP? How solid is that when we say this is what we're going to do and we project that out to our partners and to our constituents, that we're able to deliver what we say we're going to deliver. Something that's going to be important, I think, for this entire group, whether you're NCDOT or whether you're in the consulting world, is really evaluating your projects on multiple phases. I think the first thing we need to be realistic on are obviously project scopes. Defining project scopes that are determined on what the actual project needs, whatever that's transportation improvement for congestion or safety or mobility, what are the multimodal impacts there, what are the complete streets needs. We really got to get down to the basics and delivering exactly what that project needs and no more. Additionally, you got to look at schedules. Schedules are something I think that the term has been used. We always are very optimistic with our schedules at NCDOT. I don't think that's a good thing, because I think that just breeds ability for us to miss the mark. And I appreciate being optimistic and trying to say, well, it's going to work out. But I've been in some recent leadership classes, and they're telling you that hope is not a strategy. So saying that we hope it works out is really not something that I think we need to fall back on. And so I would encourage all of you as project managers and leaders to really evaluate your scopes and your schedules to make sure that you are building enough time in. I think what was true 5 years ago is not true today in regards to getting through permits or getting through, rail coordination and the other things that could impact your project. So the 15-month LET meeting that Derek has initiated, I think, has been a good improvement there. I think there's a lot of things that we're seeing that can still be approved upon. We're seeing projects that are coming in the 15-month LET meeting that, may still not have a rail agreement, or they may not have a FERC permit. I think we got to be realistic that unless we have some certainty on delivery of those permits or those agreements, that we probably need to push those projects out, Because the worst thing that could happen was to put something in the 12-month let list and it doesn't get delivered. I think you told me we have a project that's been in there for 6 years, which is crazy to me. How do we have a project in a 12-month let list for 6 years? But it's just really getting back to the basics and evaluating what it takes to deliver the projects and being truthful on the time it takes to deliver those projects throughout the various phases. And so we're not going to penalize the divisions or the project managers that come to us and say, I need to make this schedule change. I think we want to make sure that we're being realistic because it does continue to build that trust that I mentioned. Secondly, as Daniel mentioned, we released our new STIP or adopted our new STIP last year. We're currently in P8 in that process, but as he mentioned, there was about 100 new projects that came into the STIP. Contrary to what we've done in the past, we are not going to be turning on PE work for every project. Another concern from the legislature and our board members are we're spending a lot of money doing project development work on projects that may or may not ever meet construction. So that's something we're going to be very strategic about. So as you maybe you have questions about why I can't work on this project or that project. Back to my point of we can't deliver what's right in front of us. I don't want to start working on projects that are 10 years out. There'll be a time and a place on a very complex project where that needs to happen, but for the most part, we want to focus on that 5-year delivery step and making sure that we're getting good at doing the short term, and then we can talk about expanding that. The P8 schedule, obviously I mentioned we're underway there. I think later this summer we'll start seeing some results of the scoring. We're in data review and cleansing right now. I think the statewide scores will be released later this summer, so we're looking forward to doing that, all with the path forward to try to get to our next step in a couple years. And I'm hoping if things can hold true and we continue to be diligent, contain our costs, which we're doing really well at now, I think hopefully we'll have even more opportunity to bring new projects into the STIP and then provide opportunities to industry. Quality, I think, is something that we've heard at this conference for a long time. It's something that I got to continue to mention. Obviously, it's incumbent upon everybody in this room to try to focus on quality. Quality relates to cost. Obviously, if we have missteps in our preliminary engineering and our design, that it's going to cost us money on the back end. We have seen a significant number of claims on the construction side. They're not all quality related, they're not all design related, but many of them are. So I think that's something that I continue to push the industry to try to work on and focus on. Derek mentioned digital delivery. I can't not mention that. I'm not a digital delivery expert, and I couldn't sit here and tell you all the things that are going to be required to make that happen. But I do know it's going to be a focus of our office and trying to move in advance in that direction. So there's going to be hard decisions that have to be made. There's going to have to be lines drawn in the sand about usage of certain platforms, certain technologies that at some point in time we've got to move the needle and move forward in that direction. So that's something that we're going to continue to focus on. You'll hear more about digital delivery in some of the sessions, and I encourage you to listen to those because that is going to be where we're moving, and we're looking forward to that. Other things we're doing, obviously we continue to, as I mentioned, workforce. We're looking internally at what it takes to be a great support to industry, not only to the private industry but our divisions. So Derek and I and his team have been talking a lot about where do we keep the expertise, and I think that's something the department wants to focus on, trying to rebuild some expertise in-house so we can be subject matter experts and resources to the industry. So that's something that we're looking forward to try to push forward. Derek and his team are implementing a lot of tools. The PS&E checklist you'll hear about later. We're trying to look at opportunities to standardize man-day estimates and things up front to try to make it more efficient and equal across the divisions, because I know there's different ways of doing things across the 14 divisions, and it may not be done the same. So we want to be more efficient there and more consistent. Obviously, we're going to have a lot of project manager trainings, and I think we're going to hoping to extend that to the private sector at some point in time too. So that's something I think has been beneficial for our teams, and want to continue to do that. And then lastly, we really just want to start looking at our own business practices internally. I think we've gotten kind of antiquated and stuck in that's the way we've always done it mindset. And I know you hear that. That's anecdotal, but I think there are still places in our department where we can do better. So we're going to try to look at things from a new lens and new business kind of perspective and what we can do to try to help better project delivery across the board. And hopefully we can be successful in doing that. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Hold on, y'all. All right, thank you, Dan, or excuse me, thank you, Patrick. So I hope that y'all really heard the word transparency and, talking about, 60% delivery rate and looking for things to do better. One of the things I'm excited about working with Patrick and the team is, like, we really are looking, where can we get better? What can we do different? And, talking about schedules, setting the right kind of schedules, all that kind of things, that's important. And it's things that, we need to address. And if y'all got a schedule and it's not correct, we need to get it correct. If it means moving something out, then we need to move it out. So I'll leave it at that. All right, so next up is Yolanda Jordan. Yolanda became the Federal Highway Administrator, Division Administrator for North Carolina back in September of 2023. She began her transportation career with the Department of Transportation and then joined Federal Highway back in 2006 through the Professional Development Program as a realty and environmental participant in the Highway Division. Throughout her career with Federal Highway, Yolanda's had several leadership positions, including Deputy Division Administrator for South Carolina, the Special Assistant in the Federal Highway Office of the Administrator, where she supported agency leadership and coordinated key priorities, and with the Office of the Secretary. Yolanda holds a bachelor's degree from Business Administration from NCDOT State University. So let's welcome Yolanda.
I want to first thank you for the invitation to be here today, for NCDOT for bringing together this important pre-construction workshop. I also want to thank NCDOT and everybody at NCDOT for their flexibility, professionalism, and continued collaboration to me, and especially for me and the staff over the last 2 years for me. I would be remiss if I didn't thank Federal Highway staff that's here, Edward, Clarence, Seth, and Donnie, for their support of me in my position in the last 2 years, and their hard work and dedication they have done in the office to remain a partner of choice to NCDOT and all of our stakeholders. I'm grateful for the opportunity to connect directly with NCDOT and our industry partners. Forums like this are where the future of project delivery really begin. They take shape through open dialogue, early coordination, and a shared commitment for continuous improvement. FHWA strongly believes that candid, solution-driven conversations are the starting point for successful project delivery, safety, and sound decision-making. Our participation today reflects how much we value this partnership through federal, state, and industry partners to advance innovation, expedite project delivery, and serve the traveling public more efficiently. From FHWA's perspective, the future of project delivery is grounded in 3 key principles: early coordination, smart use of tools and flexibilities, and strong stewardship. First, early coordination and risk-based engagement. We continue to see the best outcome when Federal Highway is brought in early during scoping, alternative development, and early design. Early coordination helps identify risks sooner, resolve issues before they become schedule impacts, before the schedule is impacted, and set clear expectations for approvals and reimbursements, all of which expedite project delivery. Second, using modern tools and flexibilities to streamline and expedite delivery. FHWA continues to encourage the thoughtful use of project delivery flexibilities, innovative contracting, and digital tools that improve collaboration, transparency, and decision-making, such as NCDOT's Project Delivery Network and Project Atlas. Digital delivery and data-driven project management help reduce rework coordination across disciplines, and accelerate informed decision-making that keeps projects moving forward. Streamlining environmental review while maintaining strong stewardship is another part of the future of project delivery. Since January 2017, the implementation of updated categorical exclusion agreements has had a positive effect on delivering NCDOT's transportation program more efficiently. NEPA assignment is a priority for USDOT, and when implemented effectively, it can support coordination in a timely manner remains a priority in our office. We appreciate NCDOT exploring the idea of NEPA assignment, including your participation in FHWA's peer exchange. FHWA remains your partner and resource as we evaluate what works best for NCDOT. As we continue working together to expedite project delivery, our strong federal-state partnership remains essential. When we align early, communicate clearly, and leverage the right tools, we create an environment where projects can move forward efficiently and with confidence. Over the past year, we have seen these principles in action through our ER work. Federal Highway has allocated more than $3.3 billion nationally in ER funding, with nearly $2 billion provided to North Carolina alone following Hurricane Helene, including $1.15 billion additional ER funds, which was the largest single allocation to a state in FHWA history. These investments reflect the magnitude of the event and the importance of restoring safe and reliable transportation quickly. Looking ahead while we await details on the next transportation authorization, FHWA's commitment to NCDOT remains strong and unchanged. Under the leadership of Administrator Shaw McMaster, our focus continues to be on supporting project delivery that is safe, timely, innovative, and accountable. I want to close by sincerely thanking each of you for the work you do every day. Your professionalism, innovation, and willingness to engage in conversations are what help expedite project delivery and move North Carolina forward. Federal Highway values this partnership, and we look forward to continue to work alongside you as you shape the future of project delivery in North Carolina. I hope you have a productive and meaningful workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Yolanda. And I just want to tell y'all, like, after I've talked with several other states, like, we could not have a better FHWA. The relationship that we have them is absolutely phenomenal, and I would say it's probably one of the best in the U.S. And so we do appreciate the partnership. And hopefully, because I spelled your name wrong, that doesn't change. Should not have that A there, so apologize for that. All right. So next up, we have Julie White. Julie is the Deputy Secretary for Multimodal Transportation at the Department of Transportation. She's been there for 8 years now. And as the Deputy Secretary, she leads the Rail Division, Division of Aviation, the Ferry Division, Integrated Mobility, which encompasses public transportation, bike and ped transportation, and emerging mobility technology. White chairs the Southeast Corridor Commission, guiding advancement of high-performance rail in the Southeast. She serves on the board of directors with the American Public Transportation Association and co-chairs their legislative subcommittees on commuter and intercity rail. She also the convener of the AASHTO Multimodal Roundtable. Collectively, the multimodal divisions took great advantage of the opportunities for federal grants over the past 8 years and brought in a record $1.86 billion. In that same year, also secured $1.7 billion in state expansion funding across the modes, and this is helped fund support initiatives and transportation opportunities for work that continues in our communities and for our citizens. Thank you, Julie.
It's great to see everybody turn out with the weather today. Thank you for finding alternate childcare and getting here hopefully early in advance of the storm, being here with us. It's great to see a full room. thank you to Derek and his team for putting this together and for including the modes. We are grateful to have the opportunity to share with you what we've been up to in project delivery and in innovation. So the modal units take a lot of pride in the project delivery and innovation that we do, as evidenced by our track record in leading the nation in the use of drones. You know, for years, we have been at the leading edge in the use in emergency response and in package delivery. And to never rest on our laurels, I'm happy to share with you that we were recently selected by the FAA for one of only 8 projects to happen nationwide to advance drone and air taxis in our airspace at, frankly, lightning speed. Our project in particular is focused on how we connect rural and urban healthcare situations in eastern North Carolina. If you are aware, eastern North Carolina and western North Carolina have experienced a significant amount of rural hospital closure. Your nearest hospital is often multi-county away. And the first hour of your emergency is the most critical hour to your outcomes. And so we're looking at how can the future of electric vertical takeoff aircraft get you to your health care quicker, not only in an emergency response, but also in your regular healthcare needs. And this is really important on so many respects, but I will share a personal story that led me to advocate that this be the crux of our project. I am a breast cancer survivor. I was getting my treatment at Lineberger Cancer Center in Chapel Hill in the if you've been there, pre-hospital, when it was in the old TB unit in the basement there. And the chairs for your chemo were all lined up very tight in a room. And you'd start talking to your neighbor. You're there for multiple hours getting your treatment, and you'd start talking to the person in the chair next to you. And I discovered how many people from eastern North Carolina had driven in that day for their care, had driven 2 and 3 hours to come for their care. And we are there all day for that care and then have to drive home. They had to secure somebody to give them a ride. They had to bring their snacks and their arrange their childcare and figure all of that out to come every week or every couple 10 days for their chemo treatment over the course of many months. In addition to that, we had a ferry team member living on Ocracoke who developed breast cancer and had to get her radiation treatments, which are typically daily, 5 days a week, in Greenville, North Carolina. And you can't do that in a day back and forth. So when you are that far from your care, it really complicates your life and your outcomes. And so it's, for me, very exciting to think about, as the crow flies, how much quicker and easier we can get folks to healthcare. You may not be aware, but we fund, for example, a van public transport solution out in western North Carolina to take people to their daily dialysis. And so there's a spot where they all get in that van together, and then we transport them. Imagine how much quicker that could be if they went by air rather than by road in the mountains. If we can shorten that, we can make their day less complex, less tiring. So we are super excited to get this off the ground. The FAA is moving very quickly. They require us to have a flight in the first 90 days up in the air. And in the 3 years of the program, it is our goal to get to autonomous electric flight. So if you thought, yeah, that Jetson stuff is coming, but it's in the future, it's coming much more quickly than you think. So super excited to share that. And one of the ways that we're thinking about this system is how might it fold in to the mobility hubs that our integrated mobility division has been working on for a few years now. We were really the first state DOT to advance the concept of mobility hubs. So in terms of rail, we've always talked about, let's expand rail, let's have rail stations. But if all we do for that community is help them figure out how to get people off a train and into their car, we haven't taken advantage of all the economic opportunity and activity that could take place around that. So we've worked closely with towns along the S line to say, hey, Norlina, hey, Franklinton, what can we do to pull people off that train and into your downtown so they can spend some money in your downtown before they go home? Or maybe we reactivate the housing that's in walking distance of the way it used to be when rail existed there a long time ago, and they could walk home and along the way stop and get something at the local restaurant. And so we're really excited to think, does this future of electric autonomous flight get integrated into those mobility hubs? Might that be the last part of your journey as you do your multimodal trip? We funded recently advanced air mobility planning grants across the state. So hopefully communities are taking advantage of the opportunity to start to think about how does this integrate into their community, and we'll be doing another round of those in the coming months. So we intend to bring that message out much further. My other exciting new development, and I'm going to link it to the mobility hubs, is maybe you get off that rail and you get into microtransit. So we have also been the leader in the nation of bringing microtransit to rural communities. Most of these technology solutions are going to take place in urban areas first. You'll see them in LA, you'll see them in New York, and eventually they'll make their way to the Raleighs and Charlottes. And so we felt like the space that we want to specialize in is how do we bring these solutions out to all parts of North Carolina. So my favorite story of how we've helped a community do microtransit is McDowell County. McDowell County has had a dial-a-ride dial-a-ride service for public transit, and we wanted to help them offer something more. So they can now, in the county, on an app, call a ride in real time when they need it at the rate of public transit. A community that doesn't have Uber, that doesn't exist, they can now call like an Uber, but at a public transit cost of $2.50 a ride. With one vehicle they put into service, since May of 2025, they've provided 4,300 rides. It is so clear that there is a demand for such a service, even in a community like McDowell County. They're so excited about it, they're going to add a second vehicle to the fleet to meet that increasing demand. So this is really exciting because it will help people age in place. It will help our senior community get to where they need to go. I will share an anecdote from McDowell County. There's a gentleman who rides it 5 days a week. His wife has developed dementia and had to be put into a facility, and he can no longer drive. And so he was not seeing her regularly. He was depending on when friends and family could take him. He now has a ride every day he goes and spends time with his wife. So we love the kind of connection it can develop in a community and enable people to stay in their communities longer. So you might wonder, we're doing all these cool new things. How do we find the capacity to do this? And one of the things that we've been doing is really leaning into AI. We wanted to start with something relatively low risk, so we started with claims processing, both in consultant invoices and in subrecipient claims processing in our integrated mobility division. So we process about 600 consultant invoices a year. We used to do so with about somewhere around 5 FTEs to do the first level of processing of those. We've now shortened it down with AI's help to 1 FTE. We process about 1,500 subrecipient claims a year. We're using AI. We're seeing the same reductions in staff time. So this enables us to take that staff time and repurpose it to higher level, more thoughtful work. So we're really excited to see how we can continue to grow our use of AI, create more government efficiencies, deliver projects faster, get dollars in the ground quicker. Super proud to share with you, if you haven't heard, that we have worked really hard with the FRA over the last year. You'll recall we won a lot of different grant awards toward the S-Line in the previous administration. The new administration came in and needed to review the projects, make sure they met their expectations. Very pleased to share that the FRA has awarded and obligated the $58 million preliminary engineer for the whole rail corridor, Raleigh to Richmond. If you are on one of the firms that's on that team, can you raise your hand? How many we have in here? I see a couple hands. Excellent. Thank you so much for going back to work. Thank you for being patient with us while we had you pencils down. We are excited to put you back to work. The catch is, again, at lightning speed, the FRA said we get 12 months to preliminary engineer the entire 169-mile corridor. So we need you to work at a pace that can prove and show the FRA that we are on time, on budget project deliverers, because that is our record, and that is really important to them. So they said if they like what they see in terms of how fast we deliver that and the total price tag for the project, then they are fully prepared to obligate our $1 billion construction grant and be with us through the full build. So super excited to get to work advancing that project as well. And then never to leave off my ferry team, who is as innovative as anybody else and really thinking hard about project delivery. We have another vessel we've got in preliminary engineering and will be taken to construction. It's a replacement for the motor vessel Silver Lake. We are going to do CMGC for that project. We have not done a CMGC for ferry before. In fact, nobody in the nation has. We're going to be first, but our team has been doing great work with shipyards and firms nationwide to talk about what that means, what it is, how we're going to do it. So stay tuned for more on that as well, because we're really excited about that. So that's just a little brief on what the modes are doing and project delivery and innovation, hopefully enough to wet your whistle to hear more about it throughout the day. And if there's anything we can do to help you with any of your modal work, please do not hesitate to ask. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, Derek.
Thank you, Julie. I always enjoy Julie's passion. She is definitely one of the most passionate people I know when it comes to multimodal, and definitely has, you know, big dreams and big goals, and she does a good job of getting things done. So we appreciate that. So before we jump over to the break, just a couple of things I wanted to kind of throw out there. You know, you heard Patrick talk about schedule and quality and risk, and you know, one of the things that one of the changes that was announced last week is that value management is going to come work in technical services, and they're going to be in a new program support unit. And one of the things that I've challenged them to do is add to their portfolio where they talk about quality and risk, but now we're asking them to look at schedule and scope. And so those are really some, you know, you've heard those words today, those are priorities. And so I talked to Allison last week, and she's already ready to go, I know. But I am really, you know, looking forward to adding that to their group so that they can really provide some value to the department in that. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, when we're talking to project managers and we're doing training, one of the things that I say every time we meet is we talk about a project schedule, because without a project schedule, we're never going to deliver anything on time. And that project schedule needs to be current, correct, and connected. Current meaning it needs to be up to date and it's, you know, reality. 2, it needs to be correct. That means it needs to include all the activities that DOT's doing, all the activities that firms are doing, everything that's involved. And then finally, connected. We need to have predecessors and successors all throughout that schedule. You know, we've set it up in the scope that we're paying firms to have that. I know it takes time to keep a schedule up to date. It takes time to review it, but these are important things, and I truly, fully believe that if we don't have good schedules, we're not going to be able to deliver projects. And so I personally am going to continue to push that. You've heard the others here today talking about that, so just know that that is something that's important, and it's going to be top on my mind. Now, we're going to go ahead and move to the break. And again, it's back in room 2, and there's some snacks back there, as well as, you know, an opportunity to talk to some of the folks that have booths. And also just want to thank again our ACEC and our sponsors for being here today. So thank y'all.